We are live. Live from New York.
Yes.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Cheney?
Here.
Trustee Bachman?
Here.
Trustee McKnight?
Here.
Mayor Newhart?
Here,
And Carly Foster is absent at the moment.
at the moment. It's running late. So. Oh, well, speak of
Trustee
the
Foster?
trustee first. We just started, don't worry.
Hi, here. All right. I apologize.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes of August 15th, 2022?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Why don't you set up?
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go get my hard copy. I'm sorry. I was facilitating a public meeting and people were talking a lot.
Yeah, public.
Yeah. Okay. You all set?
I am, thank you.
Okay. May I have authorization, a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $197,489.94.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And under correspondence this evening, we have a letter from the Council Board member and Grant Committee Chair of the New York State Urban Forestry Council, Karen Emmerich, awarding the Village of Warwick $885 in funding for a tree planting project in Veterans Memorial Park. And it is to cover the planting of 3 tupelo trees, which are kind of water-loving trees, so it would be close to the stream. And the village is going to actually buy 2 more, so it'll be a planting of 5 trees altogether. And they are known for their brilliant color in the fall, so I think they'll be quite beautiful. And also, we have a letter from the village resident, Patrick Gallagher, regarding his concern of excessive speed on West Street. And also, a Village of Warwick Recreation summary from Recreation Director Ron Intruini. A letter from the Village of Warwick's Architectural and Historic Review Board, alternate Andrew Avia, announcing his resignation effective August 29, 2022. And a letter from the Village of Warwick trustee Corey Bachman announcing his resignation effective September 7, 2022. And with that, I want to just say to Corey, thank you for your service. You've done, you haven't been here that long, but you've done a tremendous amount of work in that short window. And we're appreciative.
Thank you.
Truly appreciative. And then under announcements, in accordance with Village Law 3-312, I have the honor of making appointments, and my appointment for Corey's position is former Village of Warwick trustee William Lindberg to fill the vacancy created in the office of the trustee for the remainder of the current official year, September 7th, 2022 to April 3rd, 2023. A special election will be held in March 2023 to fill the remainder of the term, April 3rd, 2023 to April 1st, 2024. Well, and but Bill, I want to say welcome aboard and thank you for raising your hand. I truly appreciate it. You are a bridge at a time when there's a tremendous amount of work that we are working on and needs to get done in a timely way, and so I'm truly appreciative. Look forward to working. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, Corey, too.
Thank you.
The Village of Warwick is currently under a drought watch. Even though we had a little rain, we are still under drought watch. Residents are asked to voluntarily conserve water. And I also want to make an announcement, something that we are working on internally. There is a grant application through the Department of State called New York Forward. It's a brand-new designation, grant designation. It was part of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative project, which was a very large focused grant. It was $10 million. It really was focused on small cities throughout New York State. They were mostly the recipients of that award over the past 4 or 5 years. And this year, the governor came up with another tier, which makes perfect sense. It was something that I personally advocated for through New York Council of Mayors. And so the New York Forward program is really focusing on smaller municipalities, approximately our size, maybe smaller. And the award per region is $5 million, which can be split into 2 awards of $2.5 million. We have already started the process of applying. We did our letter of intent, and we had a Zoom meeting with a planner from who was hired by the Department of State to address issues that applicants may have, and that went very well. So I'm very excited about this. I think we have a lot to offer as far as an application, especially after having gone through our comprehensive master plan process. So we will keep you posted. And but it's going to be a short window. The application for the grant is due by the end of the month, and so we will be working very hard to get everything done. So, and then I'll open it to privilege of the floor. If anybody would like to speak to the board this evening, now's your opportunity. Okay. So we'll move on to motions. And Trustee Cheney.
Number 1, resolution reaffirming that the reservoir water storage tank and well number 3 improvements projects are type 1 actions and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Whereas the Village of Warwick is proposing improvements to the existing Village of Warwick water storage tank and well number 3 water treatment plant project. And whereas pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law as amended, the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, seeker, and the implementing regulations at 6 NYCRR Part 617, the regulations, the village desires to comply with seeker and the regulations with respect to the project. And whereas the project has been classified as an Type 1 action as defined by the State Environmental Quality Review Act in 6 NYCRR Part 617.4, and whereas pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act and the implementing regulations at 6 NYCRR Part 617, the Village of Warwick previously completed the seeker process and passed the negative declaration for the proposed project on November 15th, 2021. Whereas the previously reviewed project scope is unchanged, but the village has elected to recomplete the coordinated review process and allow for 30 days of interested and involved agency review and comment, and whereas the Village of Warwick Village Board, as lead agency, has reconfirmed the full environmental assessment form and subsequently re-notified all interested and involved agencies about the project. Now therefore be it resolved that based upon an examination of parts 1, 2, and 3 of the FEAF and other available supporting information, and considering both the magnitude and importance of each relevant area of environmental concern, and based further upon the village board's knowledge of the area surrounding the project and such further investigations of the project, the village board reaffirms the following findings and determines: the project constitutes an Type 1 action as the quoted term is defined in the regulations, and no significant adverse environmental impacts are noted in the FEAF for the project, and none are known to the village board, and preparation of a draft environmental impact statement will not be required. Be it further resolved that as a consequence of such determination and in compliance with the requirements of seeker and the regulations, the village board reconfirms that a negative declaration determination is appropriate for this project, and be it further resolved that the village mayor is directed to prepare an updated negative declaration in accordance with 6 NYCRR section 617.12, and be it further resolved that the village board directs the village mayor to publish notice of and file a copy of the negative declaration for the project in accordance with the regulations, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
Okay,
We have a discussion on that?
sure.
When was the first EAF completed? Is this just an update of a prior negative declaration?
It was completed prior to the previous WIA application, so it would have been probably
Couple of
I thought it
years.
said
It's
November,
November.
but it was about a year ago.
Okay.
And at that time, I think we were under a bit of a time constraint, so we didn't have the 30 days. And in the debriefing we got on the application, that was one of the comments that came up. So we wanted to make sure that we did everything within the 30 days to give notice that would allow responses within the legislative timeframe.
So this reaffirmation is, I guess, setting everything in motion one more time, right? So
Yes,
so we
yeah,
can-
it did, and I believe the 30 days is probably close to being up. if not
Okay.
up. Yeah.
So we need to resolve this now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
Roll call. Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Bachman?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Number 2, resolution authorizing submission of a New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, the WIA, grant application for the Village of Warwick Water System Improvements Project. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Warwick duly caused to be prepared a preliminary engineering report recommending improvements to the village's reservoir water storage tank and well number 3 treatment system, and whereas the proposed improvements to such water system components includes upgrades such that well number 3 will meet the EPA's surface water treatment rules for groundwater under the direct influence of surface water, and the reservoir water storage tank will meet the recommended standards for waterworks. And whereas the project will include construction of 2 new water storage tanks, replacing the existing reservoir tank, and construction of a new treatment system at well number 3 to include cartridge filtration, a UV disinfection system, and a chlorination system to provide disinfection residual. And whereas the opinion of probable project cost of these improvements is $4,280,000, and whereas the village board now desires to pursue grant funding for the project under the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act program, now therefore be it resolved that the village board of the Village of Warwick, Orange County, New York, authorizes the submission of a New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant application, and be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to submit an application on behalf of the village for grant funding under the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act program, and to execute any agreements, instruments, or other documents in connection with the village's acceptance of any such grants and or the funding thereof. And be it further resolved that the mayor may authorize any required local match required with respect to financing or grants awarded to the village for the project through the use of cash and or in-kind services. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second. So discussion on that, please. The second to last paragraph. Be it further resolved that the mayor may authorize any required redundant, but with
Yeah.
respect to financing. Isn't that what we're attempting to solve in the next resolution, the Village of Warwick Plan of Finance resolution?
Yes.
So do we need to have, because that's, I mean,
This
that's,
follows the format that
that they require.
DEC expects.
Okay. Okay. So my real questions are on the next one then. But these two now are linked together.
Yes.
Yeah, all three resolutions, because they're for the WIA grant application.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, these are projects that have been, I guess, planned for a while now, right? The probable cost of 4.2, 4.3 million, is that from estimates from Barton and Legitis?
One from Barton and Legitis, for the storage tanks, and Pitt and Garrow and Doche for
Right.
the well number 3.
Okay.
And I think that maybe it needs to be said, and why don't you continue with your questioning, and then I'll
Yeah, I
make
mean,
my comments.
to me, I see this as, okay, one resolution saying, basically that they won't have an adverse impact to the environment, right? So we're we're reaffirming the EAF. The second one, which I get the first one, no questions about that. The second one is authorizing a submission for the WIA grant. Great, no questions there. We as we should, right, apply for it. It's the third one regarding the costs that I just had a number of questions on. So
Okay.
for example, I mean, do we have a sense of whether or not we'll receive, I mean, obviously it's called a grant application, right? But
Right.
do you have
What's our
confidence? Right.
chances
What are
for
chances of
success?
receiving that? Because otherwise, if we're
Certainly better than last time, because we've gone through a debriefing process with the health department and their representatives, and, you know, they gave us some pointers as to how we could strengthen our application. Trustee Foster took a look at it, and she came up with some wording that she felt was an improvement and something that would be more closely aligned with what the goals are of the Department of Health. So,
'cause my concern is if we don't get any grant money this time, we're resolving to pay 4.2.
No,
No.
no, what
No.
we're, I
No.
believe
Through
what we're
bonds, and that's
resolving
what the
here
third one
is
says.
that we're gonna cover the difference. In other words, and we're under no consent order or obligation with the regulatory agency to move forward with either of these projects.
Okay, so we're not
We're not
holding
committing
ourselves.
to anything
Okay.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean,
this is-
it's a highly beneficial project. It
course.
makes sense for us to move forward with it, but we're not responding to a requirement from anyone. So we could keep going after more money, you know.
And so to that point, right, with the bipartisan infrastructure law, there's a decent sum of money to be distributed to New York State communities.
Right.
From what I understand, maybe half of that is to disadvantaged communities. I don't think we qualify, but that would leave, I mean, we're still competing for funding through, what's the organization within New York that,
The Environmental Facilities Corporation,
yeah, so EFC,
EFC,
right?
right.
So, anything that might not be covered through this WIA grant, are we able to essentially apply to, through the EFC? Because this is a really, really important project either way.
the rules aren't out yet, I don't believe, on the infrastructure grants, except for the lead service lines.
Which is
so,
coming
and which we're also gonna talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
We don't really know how that funding is going to be structured, and it could come many ways, except for the lead service lines. We have a good sense of that, but the rest, how, I think the feeling is that some of the projects that had lower scoring, you know, as need or projects go, will rise up, and so more projects will get done.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, they'll reach further down the list, so.
yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
hope, yeah, and I mean, like, hopefully it will rise up a little higher on scoring this year, because we've been able to address, you know, some of the comments from last year and strengthen the argument.
Okay.
So we have,
I just
go ahead.
wanted to add something, because it could raise questions, talking about well number 3 not meeting the EPA's surface water treatment rules for groundwater under the direct influence of the surface water. Well number 3 went offline when the microfiltration plant went online. We have not used well number 3. We have the capability to do that, but it would require the village putting all of its customers on a boil water notice, and they would have to boil their water. So, with good reason, that's why we haven't done that, and we haven't needed to do that, because the 2 plants have performed adequately. We haven't been in many drought situations in the past 10 years or so. So it hasn't necessitated that. So I think we've been prudent in that regard, and I just don't want any of our residents and customers to be alarmed by the statements that are in this resolution.
Okay,
And I guess the other thing is this maximum 60% grant. So with that, 2.568 million could come from the grant, and our share would be 1.71 of the total cost.
And that wouldn't be for this year, correct?
No, it might be able to be started in this in this current fiscal year at the end of it. I mean, we're ready to go. The well number 3 treatment system design has been completed and submitted to the health department for their review, and the storage tank project is fully designed and ready to go out to bid.
That's the one up by the reservoir?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
It will replace the current.
And this has nothing to do with the storage tank by Maple and Colonial?
That's a pump station. The Maple Avenue pump station,
Pump station.
which pumps up to the Valley View
Right,
tank
okay.
and the Chelsea tank.
Okay.
but having these 2 projects basically shovel-ready definitely will help the scoring as well, so
Okay.
we will see.
And we need this in place in order to be
We do,
shovel ready?
yes.
Well,
So-
in order to get the application in.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have a second. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, it's,
Oh,
excuse me,
roll
it's
call,
roll call.
Trustee Cheney?
Sorry.
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Bachman?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Number 3, Village of Warwick Plan of Finance Resolution, Reservoir Water Tank Replacement and Well Number 3 Water Treatment Plant Improvements. Whereas the Village of Warwick owns and operates a municipal water system serving the village, and whereas the village is currently in the design phase of the reservoir water storage tank replacement project in response to the tank being near the end of its useful life, and whereas the village is also currently in the design phase of the well number 3 treatment plant improvements project in response to a determination letter from Orange County Department of Health designating well number 3 as under the direct influence of surface water. And whereas the current engineer's opinion of probable construction costs for the reservoir water storage tank replacement project and well number 3 treatment plant improvements project, hereinafter collectively the projects, is $4,280,000, the capital project cost. And whereas the village intends to finance the project through the issuance of bonds in the amount of $4,280,000 pursuant to the local finance law of the state of New York. And whereas although the village will pay the full amount of the capital project cost through bonding, the village is also applying to the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act program seeking a grant for 60% of eligible costs related to the projects, and if the WIA grant application is approved, the amount required to be bonded will be concomitantly decreased. And whereas although the village will pay the full amount of the capital project cost through bonding, the village maintains a capital reserve fund which, depending upon certain future circumstances, may be available to provide funds to pay a portion of the costs related to the projects. And if such capital reserve funds ultimately are available to pay a portion of the costs of the projects, the amount required to be bonded will be concomitantly decreased. And whereas the Board of Trustees of the village has conducted public information meetings to take comments from the public on the village's proposed improvements to the water system which constitute the projects. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, that the village Board of Trustees hereby determines that the village shall undertake the reservoir water storage tank replacement project and the well number 3 water treatment plant project, improvements project. And 2, that the work to be undertaken in the project shall be the replacement of the reservoir water storage tank and improvements to the well number 3 treatment plant, including the construction of 2 600,000-gallon water storage tanks, demolition of the existing reservoir tank, connection of the 2 new tanks to the existing water system, construction of a new water treatment plant at the well number 3 site that shall include cartridge filtration, UV disinfection, and a chlorination system, site restoration, engineering services, associated administrative and legal services, and other ancillary costs necessary to complete the projects. And 3, that funding for the project shall be provided through the issuance of bonds in the amount of $4,280,000 less any amount which may ultimately be received through a WIA grant or any amount which may be available from the village's capital reserve funds. And 4, that upon completion of the projects, the well number 3 treatment plant, well number 3 water treatment plant, and the new reservoir water storage tanks shall merge into the already existing water system.
Second. Can you repeat that?
Do we, would it make sense to explain kind of the value, I think we've implied the value of the project and the importance of the project, but just for the benefit of folks. Because this is it's a potable water resilience project, and it's going to ensure that there's both redundancy in the system, and then right now we have a single tank, and if we have to repair that tank, it kind of takes that out of commission, and then we would have to go on a boil water notice. And so it's sort of smart asset management as that tank is aging. It's the right time to kind of replace it with 2 tanks so that we have that redundancy in the system.
And the same with well number 3.
Yes, so
Which is
having a redundant
water
source,
yeah.
clean water source without having to go on a boil water notice. Which is a really great project that Barry and the team or Trustee Cheney and the team has come up with.
It's been a while. I mean, we've been on this road for a while.
We have,
and,
yes.
And I, need to point out that previous board has been very open to trying to put together projects so that they can be shovel ready in the event that that becomes a significant component of any grant monies that might become available. If you remember back at the beginning of President Obama's administration, he put together a program, and that program required you to be pretty much shovel ready with your projects. And that program also would fund up to 100% of the project, which is basically what, up to or close, what we built, the microfiltration plant with federal money, basically. So, I think it's important to, be looking down the road at what your needs are and be ready to put yourself in a position where you can maximize your grants.
When you talk about grant funding, is that the responsibility of the clerk or one of the trustees to apply for specific grants for these projects?
I
Yes,
think it's a
and?
combination. Well,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, the clerk's involved, but it's more whatever the areas of need are that we position ourselves to be able to do that. And if it's an infrastructure type thing, it falls to one trustee. If it happened to be a planning grant or some other type of grant, then it would fall to whoever the liaison was, and to staff and consultants.
There's a lot of teamwork involved with any grant process. In particular, I mean, of course, the clerk's office, but also the treasurer's, you know, they have to be kept in the loop, because if we do get the grant, then that's when the administrative stuff really.
Nightmares,
Nightmares.
headaches,
Yeah, begin.
pleasure.
Pleasures, right.
So the two tanks and well number 3, I guess those are 2 separate projects, and they're both shovel ready after this.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's probably,
thought we were
there
still
may
in
be some
design.
tweaking we're gonna have to do relative to any feedback, comments we received from the health department on the, in particular, on the treatment plant. But the water tank project is, I think, a little further along, and it shouldn't be, take much time to really to get them out to bid once we've got some answers relative to funding.
And this is not committing us to paying that full amount. We're not, okay.
Yeah, it's not requiring, it's authorizing.
I hear you. It just, you know,
We would have to have a resolution of this board to go out to bid for either or both of these projects, depending upon how we how we proceeded with it. And then this board would have to approve the accepting the bid and entering into a contract,
yeah,
so.
okay. I guess I'm reacting to where it says the village shall undertake it's not must.
Right.
And it also doesn't articulate the timing. You know,
That's
so
right.
we want to do this, you know, as soon as possible,
Yeah.
but if the funding's not there, then, but we have this authorization for.
Anything else? No. So we have a second. Roll call.
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Bachman?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Valley Central School District to extend the village water system at the bus garage in accordance with the water and sewer permit application, conditional upon payment of required fees, approval by the Orange County Health Department, and compliance with requirements of the village engineer in the letter dated August 25th, 2022. The village waives the creation of an escrow account to cover the cost of engineering fees, which will be invoiced to the school district upon receipt.
Second.
Okay.
This is definitely one I want to ask about.
Okay.
So from reading the attachments, it seems like it's not potable water. It's really just for a fire hydrant
Well, it's potable water. It is potable water.
because it comes from the
It comes
rest
out
of the
of the
system.
water main, so, yes.
That
it's
was
an
that was
extended-
written in there. That doesn't, I guess, but it's going to a fire hydrant
Yes,
and not beyond that. It's not supplying
no.
the bus garage or anything.
If the bus garage is currently serviced by the water line, it's a separate line, and it's a smaller line. This,
Right,
I
it's
think they
a
have to do a
service line.
6-inch line to the hydrant
Okay.
for firefighting
So
purposes.
obviously, if we're never using it, there's no billing,
Right,
right? Yet the village is going to bear the responsibility of upkeep and maintenance in the long run.
well, yeah, we would flush it. and-
But it's in the town, not the village.
Right,
So
but it's, the line already exists to that location, so.
oh, I think I missed that part. So the
Yeah,
line is
so-
already
so- well,
it's
the-
already
the-
plumbed.
The line from West Street goes out to the schools.
Right.
It also comes down County 1 to the bus garage.
Okay.
And currently, there's a hydrant on the opposite side of the road from the bus garage. And the fire department, this is to service the battery storage system project that the school has leased its property to allow it to be constructed on its property by a private entity. So the project is to extend about 150 feet into the school property and place a hydrant there so that if there happened to be a fire related to the battery storage systems, this would be used to protect surrounding structures and
So the battery storage is serving the bus garage in the
No,
school.
No,
the
no, no.
battery storage is, a project that is being done by a private entity, Convergent Power, and they are going to install these battery storage systems, which are basically about the size, as I understand it, of a shipping container, and they
Like
They
over at
take-
Church Street Extension.
Yes,
It's
yeah, it's the
exactly-
same
it's
thing,
the
yes.
same thing.
Yes, it's the same thing. There are 3 units in the West Warwick project, and 2 of them are on the bus garage property, and 1 is on Church Street.
So who's paying to run the 150 feet of lines and the new hydrant?
Convergent,
So they're paying for all of that.
they're paying for everything, yes.
Okay, they're paying our $3,000 fee
Yes, and the engineer's fees.
and the engineer's fees. So the line's already out there, so really we're just adding an additional 150 feet of line
Which is being constructed by them,
by them and a new hydrant.
which is being furnished by them,
Right.
based on our specifications.
So I get it that it helps out with the battery storage and that helps out the town residents in that part, presumably maybe some village
In
residents.
some village also.
We're not incurring any of the costs up front, but my concern is ongoing. It's just another connection point, another 150 feet of line that we're gonna have to maintain. So 10 years from now, something goes wrong, their Convergent's not paying, right? Nobody else is paying, but the village has to maintain it, right? And it's not on village property, it's on town property. That's my
It's on
concern.
school,
So it's on school
school
property.
property, in the
property.
town, yeah.
I mean, we have pump stations, we have lots of things on school property that we maintain because they are connected to our systems. I mean,
But they're also paying us for usage of the water. No one's paying for a fire hydrant where water's not being used.
Right,
right.
right.
If we're being paid for regular usage of water, that could help offset some of the maintenance. If water's just going to an end connection at the hydrant, is never being used, we're not receiving any revenue from that.
But
Yet we're still bearing the burden of maintenance long term.
I don't know how significant the cost of maintaining would really be. The hydrants that we install are usually there for, many, many, many years,
Probably greater than the life expectancy of these battery storage units. So, it's probably more likely that if there was a problem with it, we could just turn the valve off because it wouldn't be needed anymore because the battery storage systems would be gone from there. The line and the hydrant should outlive the battery storage systems.
Until they put new battery storage systems.
Well,
But that's what they said when they came in front of the planning board
and-
about the
and
Church
if-
Street one.
And if they do that, then we would have an opportunity to, modify any of our arrangements.
Your thoughts, your final thoughts before we vote?
As it's written, I don't love it. It's on school property in the town. It's not water that's being used and billed. And it's a maintenance obligation for the village, long-term, that I think will outlive the $3,000 application fee. So as it stands, I'm not in favor of this. That's just me.
What would you need, like what would you need in order to be in favor of it?
I hadn't thought that far.
So like,
A
some
drink-
sort of agreement that they would provide funding for the maintenance.
Yeah, if we needed to maintain it within the life of the systems, that they would pay that maintenance. Again, I'm not a plumber. I don't know what it entails, right? Could it be very little maintenance or none at all? Maybe. Could there be, I don't know, some kind of break in the water main where we have to dig up the street and
I think
costs
for
a lot of
that
money that way?
cost, yeah.
Again, it's not village property. If this were in the village, different story. This is in the town on school property. Again, as a town resident, children in the school district, I get it. That's just a separate issue.
Do you see an opportunity to go back and talk to them about this? That they would fund maintenance if there's any needs?
You've had the
Yeah,
discussions
I've had
with
the
school
discussions,
district.
yeah.
You know, they're, as is often the case, they're under a time crunch.
Right.
But at the same time, they don't have
I mean, who
approval
would,
from the county health department, so
And
if we
it-
approve this tonight, we could still, you know, open up discussions with them because the county health department hasn't approved anything yet.
I mean, who would be paying this, let's say, maintenance fee? The school district? It's not theirs, it's Orange and Rockland's, really, and Convergence,
Well, it's Convergent.
right?
Because they have a contract with Orange and Rockland to sell back, to buy and then sell back electricity that they're storing.
If I put my convergent hat on now, I think, well, then this hydrant would be only for my use if I have to pay for it. It gets a little
Well,
sticky.
yeah.
The object of the hydrant is if anything should catch fire.
Of course, you want to minimize the fire, right?
Right.
And more to protect structures that surround it.
Right.
I mean, you're not gonna, in all likelihood, I don't think, douse an electrical
Yeah,
fire.
I don't think they're going to require exclusive access, but the point is, how are they going to receive a request, theoretically, of covering the cost of maintenance of repair? Maybe it's a non-issue for them. I personally think it's worth asking, but that's my opinion.
Worth asking before or after the approval? That's a question.
Before.
Which,
Before.
Because you
my thought.
can't, if you've already approved it, then you have no leverage
Right.
for that conversation.
And I don't know if 2 weeks, they're trying to get this accomplished. They were trying to get it, before the school year really took off. Can we word the motion in such a way?
I'm sorry. What is the installation of battery storage tanks have to do with the timing of the school year?
No, it's the digging up of County Route 1. And the bus garage,
Well,
you know.
the school has started
I don't
already,
know,
so
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
still.
what restrictions and limitations are in their lease contract with the school district. It could have something, where the school said, you're gonna have to have this done before
If-
we start school, because we gotta run buses in and out of there, and we can't have it disrupted.
If Convergent would pay for maintenance long-term while they have that battery storage, that would work for me. Again, you could put it to a vote.
I think it makes sense, what you're saying. I don't know what the cost, it could be very minor incremental costs, I don't know what the costs would be for us, for maintenance, but on principle,
Well, it's
sound argument.
It's not gonna be, there's no real minor ongoing maintenance except you exercise the valves that are associated with it, and you flush the hydrants twice a year. So this is just one more hydrant in our however many hydrants we have, which is quite a large list. So, ongoing maintenance probably isn't the concern, but certainly if there were to be, as you mentioned before, a break in the water line between the current line and the hydrant, or the hydrant to fail, or a valve associated with that extension, to fail, then, if it was still needed to serve the purposes of the battery storage system, then it would, wouldn't be out of the question to ask them or require them to pay for those repairs.
And they're doing the installation,
They have a contractor doing the
Yeah, so-
installation.
It's not like we have village
We're assuming
inspection
a
on it, we're
liability,
assuming,
yeah.
Well, we are gonna inspect it.
we're also gonna inspect
We
it?
will, yeah. Yeah.
Will these hydrants be flushed on the same schedule as the other ones throughout
Yeah.
the village? And is there a possibility that it be another company that maintains it 5 years from now? Is it always going to be Convergent, or could it be
You
another?
never know, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So maybe if we-
Convergence will
They could morph
converge
into
on
another
something.
company that could be bought out by a company.
So maybe if we do
merge.
amend it, maybe just not specify that company or leave it open that
Well,
whoever.
or their successor, so
Yeah.
you'd write it so that it was
Mm-hmm.
for them or their
Okay.
successor.
So, going back to the motion, do you think there's a room to add a clause that says that any, the maintenance of the hydrant?
During the life of the battery storage system project, the, any costs associated with repairing any of the installed infrastructure would be borne by the operator of the battery storage system. If we like
Do we,
that, I
do we need
would offer
Steve,
that as.
do we need Steve to amend this?
No, I think
don't
I'd
You
offer
think
that
somebody
as
else
a,
would?
as an motion to amend by adding that clause.
You mean change it right here, right now?
Right, yeah, just a basic amendment, by adding that.
We're voting on it tonight.
We're voting on it tonight,
With that amendment.
okay?
So
So-
moved.
So do we have a second?
Yeah,
Second?
so we should vote on the amendment.
We should vote on the amendment.
Well, do we
And
want to
then vote on
reread
the
this
amendment.
with that language, or?
Do you need to have it read?
Well, first of all, the last sentence, the village waives the creation of an escrow account to cover the cost, I mean, do we keep that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so do we add another sentence on the end here?
Or would it be after letter dated August 25th on condition that,
No, I would say conditional upon payment of required fees. And then what it was that I just said that Jen hopefully wrote down most of it.
Most of it. During the life of the battery storage system, any of the cost associated
With
with the battery.
with repairs to the
Infrastructure.
infrastructure.
It's not really the life of the system itself, because they could replace that, right?
The life of the project.
Okay, so as long as they're doing that business there.
Yes, by the owner of the project.
Life of the project, not battery storage.
The life of the battery storage project.
Okay.
Okay. So where are we?
So I think the next step would
Is
be
be
to
to-
approve the amendment, and then we'd approve the amended motion.
Okay. So may I have a motion to approve?
No, we already made the motion to
Second.
amend.
Right.
So we need,
Yes,
so we need to
second.
vote
A
on.
second.
Second.
We got a second, we need to vote on the amendment.
Okay, so could we have a vote on the motion to amend? This is classic Barry.
is it roll call?
I'm so confused.
I know.
This doesn't make any
It's not
sense.
roll
Okay,
call, so
okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And now we vote on the amended motion.
Okay. So, we don't have a second on it.
We had a second.
We
We
did have
already
it.
We had a
we already
second
had
on the motion already. so-
Already.
So
And
that's
it's-
good.
So that's good, okay. So all in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm glad that, I just want to say that I'm glad that you guys who have been doing this for a very long time still get confused
Well,
with the.
this was a real
It is, it's-
doozy.
Motions and amending motions are difficult.
Aren't you gonna miss
Yeah.
this?
Well, I always pray that I don't have to make an amendment on any of my motions. I don't think I ever have.
Okay,
You can watch us live stream.
No, thank you.
This is
sit
it.
home and laugh.
And
Yeah,
laugh,
I'll
right?
laugh, yeah.
Okay, so number 5,
Number
please.
5, motion to accept the proposal for engineering services from Barton and Legitis dated August 22nd, 2022 for support to assist in applying for funding under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Program for the village lead service lateral inventory and authorize the mayor to sign the amendment to the master services agreement with Barton and Legitis for a lump sum amount of $3,000. Funds are appropriated in the 2022-23 budget in budget code F1440.4950.
Second,
Okay. Any comments, Tom?
not on this one.
Okay, good.
Well,
Oh,
I probably just should. The probable cost of the inventory is $584,000. That's what we're applying for.
Right.
We don't feel that we're aware that there are a lot of lead service lines, but we do have quite a good number of, we believe, galvanized lines, which also come under the program for replacement. And so once we finish with the inventory, we would then apply for money to replace those lines. Normally, the village's responsibility is from the water main to the curb stop, but in this case, the funding will take it all the way into the residence, beyond the curb stop and all the way into the residence, the customer's house. So
Right.
it's something that's out there. We can't ignore it. Lead is a problem. We test for it, and we've been within compliance on that in our testing. So it's still something that needs to be done. We also treat our water with orthophosphate, and that is an agent which basically seals in any tuberculation and any lead. It just keeps it attached to the pipe as opposed to flowing free in the water.
So I know we don't know, right, the presence of lead service lines. First of all, as a side note, I want to commend the intern that we had, Wakely Banker, on a tremendous job. I mean, he put together a great report, clearly did a lot of work. One of them, it was on page 16 of that, was the potential lead service lines, basically anything before 1986, which is a lot of the village.
Oh yes,
most
yeah.
of the village. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're any further along knowing where those are, but
Well, we know where they aren't to some degree. We know.
Oh, okay, I
that,
guess
we know that Warwick Grove was built after 1986. That Ridgefield, I believe, was built after 1966. Kenilworth, that project was built after 1986. So, and there might be some others, and then a smattering of a house here and there. So, Wakely was able to go through, I think,
900 of them?
about almost 1,000, through accessing information on property that exists on the county tax website.
In some cases, it's not the entire service line, but there's something called a gooseneck, and it is the thing that connects the service line to the main, right? And the reason why lead was used it was because of flexibility, I imagine, but not such a good use, so. Okay, so, any other comments? We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the proposal from Paul Water dated June 21st, 2022 to conduct an aftermarket comprehensive services plan system inspection service at a lump sum cost of $5,800 and for the mayor to sign the customer authorization for services. Paul Water is the only possible proposer as they are the manufacturer of the treatment equipment installed at the microfiltration plant. Funds are appropriated in the 2022-23 budget and budget code F8330.4500.
Okay,
second,
okay.
I just have a question. Why is this needed?
Well, the timeline for replacement of the filtration components is usually about 10 years. We're maybe a little bit past that. Plant's been performing well, but this will bring in experts that know these, facilities and know their equipment, and they would be able to, inspect through inspection and testing, find out be able to tell us hopefully, well, you've got another 5 years on this particular train and
I
maybe
see.
3 on this or 8 on, so.
So to give us basically a forecast or forewarning of systems that may need to be taken offline, which means we would incur a cost in replacing.
Right,
And this is for our newest
yes,
part of the water system,
our newest treatment facility, yes.
which I guess is not so new anymore.
No,
No more.
All right, thank you, I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? So all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Carly?
Motion to accept the proposal from Fairweather Consulting dated August 23rd, 2022 to assist the village in applying for either the New York Forward or the Downtown Revitalization Grant Program with a cost not to exceed of $4,290. Funds are appropriated in the 2022-2023 in budget code in A1910.4950.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to grant permission to Better Homes and Gardens Green Team to hold a Forever Homes fundraiser event to benefit the Warwick Valley Humane Society on Railroad Green on Sunday, October 9th, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a rain date of Sunday, October 16th, 2022. Completed park permit, security deposit, and proper insurance have been received.
second,
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget modification and transfer request for the village treasurer's letters dated August 30th, 2022.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Reformed Church to hold a Hispanic Heritage Parade and celebration on Sunday, September 25th, 2022, including use of Veterans Memorial Park Pavilion from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. The parade will step off at approximately 4 p.m. with lineup beginning at the Warwick Reformed Church, 16 Maple Avenue, per the letter received August 31st, 2022. The parade route will be as follows: Maple Avenue to Main Street to Oakland Avenue, 3rd Street, Parkway, Park Lane, Forester Avenue to Veterans Memorial Park, ending at the Veterans Memorial Park Pavilion. The request includes use of the bathrooms located near the pavilion. The Town of Warwick Police Department approved the route and will have officers to assist with street closures and detours, along with assistance from the Warwick Fire Department. Completed park permit, proof of insurance, and security deposit have been received.
Second.
Okay.
Let me add it. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the New York State Local Retirement System Standard Workday and Reporting Resolution for Village of Warwick trustee Thomas McKnight with a record of activities of 5.49 average days work per month.
Okay.
second,
Discussion? No, I'm just joking.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to advertise for a part-time court attendant bailiff.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Tom?
Motion to return the zoning board of appeals escrow balance of $965 to Stephen Gross for legal fees associated with the Article 78 petition for 62 Colonial Ave. All invoices have been paid as per the email from ZBA attorney Robert Fink.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have an announcement addendum, which I forgot, but we'll do that at the end. Barry, if you would take the motion number 14.
motion to confirm the Village of Warwick's commitment to provide funding in the amount of $575,000 towards the Maple Avenue Water Booster Station relocation project as part of the local community assistance program. Funds are appropriated in the FY 2022-23 budget in codes F.1440.4 and 5.8320.2.
Okay.
Second.
And just as a tip of the hat, this money is through DASNY, but it was a generous contribution from Senator Skoufis. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And Tom, would you make that announcement, please?
Sure. Warwick's Repair Cafe is held the third Saturday of every other month from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Senior Center Town Hall Complex, 132 Kings Highway, Warwick. Bring your beloved but broken items and fix them for free with Repair Cafe coaches. Upcoming 2022 dates, September 17th and November 19th.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. So final comments from the board? No?
Oh, my only comment was, Ron,
Introini?
Introini's recreation summary, we had read it at the previous meeting.
Oh, wonderful.
So, I just wanted to kind of make sure that that was clear.
Okay. We do have to go into executive session, and I promise it won't be terribly long. I think it would be this.
Make a motion to go in executive session for the discussion regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we will not be making any further motions.
Jen, will you let us know when it's...
I will, yes.
Thank you.
You want me to shut that door?
No, let's wait. Wait till we're off.
Right.